Hey guys, Camp Chronicler Chris here, and tonight we are in my studio and we have a story from the Adirondack Mountains from a Navy SEAL named Carl Higbee who had an encounter, a strange encounter, with something he couldn't explain. That's next. Okay guys, so tonight we're in the studio and I found this story from Navy SEAL Carl Higbee, and I'm a big fan of these types of stories, and I'm also a big fan of root beer. I don't know if you guys can see this. I got this root beer, Johnny Ryan. I haven't tried it yet. Made in Niagara Falls, New York, an area where I used to live near. I've only visited Niagara Falls twice, but I figured we'll give this a shot, let you guys know how it is. I always need something to drink in these stories just because like you get parched while you're telling them. So let's see. It's very smooth. Doesn't have that strong, overpowering root beer flavor that some of the store brands have, like Barq's root beer. It's more smooth. It says it's pure cane sugar, carbonated water, caramel. How do you say it? Caramel or caramel? Color. It tastes pretty good. I like it. So this is the true story based upon the first-hand account of Carl Higbee, former Navy SEAL, in August of 2010. Deep in the Adirondack Mountains of New York, a man trained to survive the harshest conditions on Earth came face to face with something he couldn't explain. This is the true story of Carl Higbee, a Navy SEAL, survivalist, and most importantly, a skeptic of Bigfoot and the paranormal. And this is the night that changed how he saw the wilderness forever. Carl had spent years in the military, and he trained in survival, reconnaissance, and endurance. After returning home from deployment, he sought solitude in the Adirondacks, not for rest, but for a personal challenge. He wanted to test his skills alone in the wild without any modern comforts for backup. So he chose a remote section of the forest, miles from the nearest road, where cell service was non-existent and the terrain was really unforgiving. If anyone's ever hiked the Adirondack Mountains, you'll know that the terrain here is so radical, so steep. People go here for sport. They go here for physical endurance. It's one of the most challenging terrains on the planet. Beautiful too. So his gear was really minimal. Again, he wants to challenge himself. So all he brings is a tarp, a knife, a small backpack with his essentials, and a journal. No tent, no rifle, just him and his instincts. Carl said the first day was fairly uneventful. He hikes in, sets up his shelter, and gathers up some firewood. He said the forest was alive. Birds are chirping, the wind is rustling through the trees, insects are buzzing. Carl feels right at home. As the night fell, he builds a fire and settles in. He says the stars are just absolutely brilliant overhead. The air is nice and cool. He writes this down in his journal. He notes the terrain, how difficult it is. He records the weather and writes down his plan for the next day. Carl doesn't know it now, but just outside of his camp, something is watching him. Around midnight, Carl was awakened by a sound. It wasn't a branch snapping or an animal scurrying. It was a howl, a long, low, and guttural howl. It echoed through the trees, reverberating through his chest. He sat up, alert. His military training kicks in. He's scanning the forest, listening, just staring out into the darkness. The howl came again, closer. And Carl had heard wolves before, but this wasn't a wolf. It was deeper, more resonant, and almost human. He grabs his flashlight and starts scanning the perimeter, but there's nothing out there that he can see. But then he hears footsteps, heavy, deliberate, crunching through the underbrush. They circled his camp, staying just outside of the light from the fire to remain hidden. Carl stood there, knife in hand, heart pounding. The footsteps stopped, and it's just silence. Then a branch snapped, loud and close. Carl didn't sleep the rest of the night. At dawn, Carl searched the area. He found broken branches, disturbed leaves, and most unsettling, large footprints, barefoot, human-shaped, but massive. He measured one with a stick, nearly 18 inches long. Carl took notes, sketched the prints, and tried to rationalize. Maybe it's a prank, a bear, but bears don't walk like that, and no one knew he was out there. He spent the rest of the day gathering more firewood, reinforcing his shelter, and staying alert. That night, he builds a fire, a larger fire, and he kept his knife close. On night 2, around 2 a.m., the forest went silent. No wind, no insects, and no birds. Then came the breathing, deep, raspy, and close. Carl lay still, listening. The breathing circled his shelter, slow and intentional. Then, something pressed against his tarp, something massive, a massive shape leaning in. Carl held his breath, and the shape moved away. Then the footsteps returned, circling and watching him. Carl didn't move, didn't speak, he just waited. By morning, the ground around his shelter was disturbed. There's more footprints, more broken branches. He packed up and he left. And he says the hike out was tense. Carl felt watched the entire way. Every snap of a twig, every rustle of leaves made him spin around and think that he was going to see the creature behind him. But he didn't see the figure again, but he felt it. When he reached his truck, he sat there for a long time before starting the engine, just trying to process what happened to him in the middle of the woods. He didn't speak about the encounter for months in fear of ridicule. Carl eventually shared his story in interviews and podcasts, not to prove anything, but just to ask questions and learn and discuss with others what was going on. He doesn't claim it was Bigfoot. He doesn't claim it was paranormal, but he knows what he heard and he knows what he felt, and he knows it wasn't normal. What a great story. You have a skeptic who shares his true, strange experience, and he doesn't believe in the paranormal, he doesn't believe in Bigfoot, but what happened to him wasn't normal. It was completely unexplainable, and that's what I love about these deep woods experiences is there's so many interesting experiences of things that are so hard to process and explain. And it's interesting because there's always a wide range of different types of people with different beliefs that all are sharing the same experience that are just unbelievable and so strange that they just have to be shared and have to be respected. Carl says some things in the woods aren't meant to be understood, only respected. And that is our true story for tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you would like me to tell your true camping or hiking or paranormal or strange or unexplainable experience, all things related, just comment it below in the comments. You can type the whole story in the comments. I will read it and I will make a video on this channel for it. Or if you'd like to submit it to my email is listed on my YouTube homepage. Just go there and submit your story and I will look forward to hearing from you guys. That's it, and I hope you guys have a good night.